Hey guys, Mistik here, and welcome back to the Should You Buy series. In this series, I rate items throughout Graal era. I rate each item on its usefulness to the player, the rarity of it in game, and the demand it has with the player base. Afterwards, I talk about the price and history of the item, and finally give my opinion on whether it's worth spending your hard-earned shells on. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the recently released Halloween Super Bloodblade. Without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off with usefulness, the Bloodblade deals 9 damage with a fast attack speed. That means it's going to be put on the same level as items such as the lightsaber and other 9 damage melees. It also comes with 2 different special abilities, the first of which being a 2 HP heal, and the second of which being a shadow mode. The Bloodblade is going to be a really solid melee for killing NPCs, crabs, and even other players on the streets of Era. As I mentioned previously, it's going to be as good as weapons like the lightsaber, the katana, and other popular 9 damage melees. This means that you're going to be competitive against most other players unless they're using items such as Chaplain or the other 10 damage melees. What makes the Bloodblade really good is its ability to heal. It's not as good as other 3 HP heal items, but the 2 HP heal is almost just as good, and it comes at a fraction of the cost. If you don't already have a 2 or 3 HP healing item, then this one's definitely going to be for you. Stats-wise, the Bloodblade is really good, however I think its crowning jewel comes in the form of its shadow mode. When you enter shadow mode, your character is basically just going to be a shadow of itself, and although this isn't going to give any statistical advantage, it is very useful for running around the streets of Era or just trying to avoid people in general. There aren't very many items with effects like this, so it does make it very unique and pretty useful. Overall, I think I have to give this weapon an 8 out of 10 in usefulness. It could use a better heal and it could be 10 damage, but overall it's a pretty solid item. Moving on to rarity, this is definitely where the Bloodblade starts to take a hit. As far as I know, there is 140 of these in-game. This is because during Halloween, there were 2 restocks that were 70 items each. These sorts of numbers are definitely going to put Bloodblade as one of the more common supers in existence, however there are a few things that do work in its favor. First of all, these are not auction items. That means that the Bloodblades will never be released again. This does make them pretty prone to hoarding, which could work in its favor in the long run. Sadly though, it is still 140 in game, which means I gotta give this one only a 4 out of 10 in rarity. On the flip side, I believe the demand category is where the Bloodblade really shines. As we discussed before, it does have a very high usefulness. This is due to its very high damage output and healing ability, but also its shadow mode as well. To add on to that, it has very nice graphics. If you take a look at Bloodblade, it's going to have a great idle animation, it's going to have very nice attack animations. I do think the one area that it's a little bit lackluster is its healing animation, but I do think the rest of its graphics make up for that. Furthermore, I think the potential for it being hoarded is very high. The item is 140 in game, but I think if a couple people start hoarding 10 to 20 of these, you're going to see that rarity raise drastically. Once this does happen, you're going to see the rarity go up, you're going to see the demand go up, and eventually you're going to see the price go up. So overall, I have to give it an 8 out of 10 in demand. Moving on to price, this one has a little bit of a sad story. It did start out at about 25k the first day that it came out, however it has obviously consistently dropped since. Currently it is sitting at around 10,000 shells, and it probably is going to drop some more. There are just so many of these items for sale right now, so I can't imagine it gaining a lot of price in the next few months. However, I do think that this item is going to raise. As I mentioned before, it's going to be hoarded, it's going to increase in rarity, and eventually it will start gaining in price. Even though it is 10k right at the moment, I do think that it could end up doubling that price by the end of the year, but of course time is only going to tell. Now, finally, we will move on to my opinion on the item and whether I think you guys should purchase it. I'm going to go ahead and say that the Bloodblade is a definite buy. You guys could wait until it hits about 5 to 7k, but you might end up missing out if you don't purchase it right now. This is an item that I personally own, and I probably have it on a solid 20% of the time, so it's one that I have to recommend for almost anybody to purchase. I think it's a great item to own, I think it's a great item to use, and I think it could be a good investment in the future. Now, I do think if you're a new player just starting out and trying to think of what your first super is going to be, this is probably the #1 choice. You're going to get a ton of use out of this, and it's going to beat almost every other super in its price range. And with that, this is the end of the video. If you guys did enjoy it, please consider dropping a like and make sure you guys subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Also, leave your thoughts on the Bloodblade down below and also comment what item you guys think I should review next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.